In the rich tapestry of Buddhist mythology, Mara stands out as a formidable and intriguing figure. His presence is not just a mere character in ancient texts, but a profound symbol that resonates deeply with the human experience. Mara's story is woven into the very fabric of Buddhist teachings, serving as a powerful reminder of the obstacles that lie in the path of spiritual seekers. He is the personification of temptation, the embodiment of delusion, and the obstacle on the path to enlightenment. Mara's role is to challenge those who seek to rise above the mundane and reach a higher state of consciousness. His temptations are not just external, but also internal, manifest as doubts, fears, and desires that cloud the mind. The ultimate obstacle on the path to enlightenment, Mara's presence is felt in the moments of weakness and uncertainty. He represents the seductive desires, the clinging to illusion, and the perpetuation of suffering. His influence is subtle yet pervasive, often going unnoticed until one is already ensnared. Mara represents the seductive allure of worldly delusion and the perpetuation of suffering. His name itself, often translated as death or destruction, hints at the spiritual downfall that awaits those who succumb to his enticements. The allure of material power and the pursuit of sensual pleasures are all tools in Mara's arsenal. The perpetuation of suffering is a key aspect of Mara's influence. He thrives on the ignorance and trapped in the cycle of Samsara. His presence looms large in Buddhist teachings, serving as a constant reminder of the challenges inherent in the pursuit of awakening. The struggle against Mara is not just a battle against an external force, but an internal journey towards self-mastery and enlightenment. His name itself, often translated as death or destruction, hints at the spiritual downfall that awaits those who succumb to his enticement. It is pervasive, affecting not only spiritual seekers, but also influencing the thoughts, actions, and experiences of all beings. Understanding Mara's nature and his methods of deception is crucial for anyone seeking to suffering. Mara's presence looms large in Buddhist teachings, serving as a constant reminder of the challenges inherent in the pursuit of awakening. He represents the forces that bind us to the cycle of birth, death, and rebirth, known as Samsara. His temptations are a test of one's resolve and commitment to the path of enlightenment. He represents the forces that bind us to the cycle of birth, death, and rebirth, known as Samsara. Mara's influence is pervasive, affecting not only spiritual seekers, but also influencing the thoughts, actions, and experiences of all beings. His temptations are a test of one's resolve and commitment to the path of enlightenment. Mara's influence is pervasive, affecting not only spiritual seekers, but also influencing the thoughts, actions, and experiences of all beings. Understanding Mara's nature and his methods of deception is crucial for anyone seeking to break free from the cycle of suffering. By recognizing and overcoming Mara's temptations, we pave the way for liberation and the realization of our true nature. Understanding Mara's nature and his methods of deception is crucial for anyone seeking to break free from the cycle of suffering. By recognizing and overcoming Mara's temptations, we pave the way for liberation and the realization of our true nature. The journey to enlightenment is fraught with challenges, and Mara's presence is a reminder of the vigilance required to stay true to the path. By recognizing and overcoming Mara's temptations, we pave the way for liberation and the realization of our true nature. Mara's story, therefore, is not just a mythical tale, but a profound allegory for the inner struggles we all face on the path to spiritual awakening. His presence in our lives is a call to mindfulness, urging us to remain aware of the subtle forces that seek to divert us from our spiritual goals. Mara's story, therefore, is not just a mythical tale, but a profound allegory for the inner struggles we all face on the path to spiritual awakening. His presence in our lives is a call to mindfulness, urging us to remain aware of the subtle forces that seek to divert us from our spiritual goals. In understanding Mara, we gain insight into our own minds and the obstacles that hinder our progress. Through this understanding, we can cultivate the wisdom and strength needed to overcome these challenges and move closer to the ultimate goal of enlightenment. Mara's origins are shrouded in the mists of time, making him one of the most enigmatic figures in Buddhist mythology. His story is not a straightforward one, as it varies significantly across different Buddhist traditions and texts. In some traditions, Mara is depicted as a powerful demon king, ruling over a realm filled with sensual pleasures and illusions. This portrayal emphasizes his role as a tempter, someone who seeks to distract and lead beings away from the path of enlightenment. These texts often describe Mara's realm as a place of great opulence and allure, designed to ensnare the senses and trap beings in a cycle of desire and attachment. His palace is said to be filled with all manner of temptations, from luxurious foods to beautiful courtesans, all intended to keep beings from seeking spiritual liberation. In other texts, Mara is portrayed as a more abstract entity, representing the aggregate of all negative emotions, desires, and attachments that hinder spiritual progress. This interpretation sees Mara not as a physical being, but as a symbol of the internal struggles that each individual must overcome on their path to enlightenment. In Theravada Buddhism, Mara is often seen as a literal being, a powerful tempter who actively seeks to prevent individuals from attaining enlightenment. Stories from this tradition describe Mara's attempts to distract the Buddha himself during his meditation under the Bodhi tree, using fear, desire, and doubt to try and break his concentration. Mahayana Buddhism, on the other hand, tend to view Mara more metaphorically. In this tradition, Mara represents the internal obstacles that obscure our true nature and keep us from realizing our full potential. These obstacles can take many forms, from negative emotions like anger and jealousy to more subtle forms of attachment and delusion. Despite these variations in interpretation, the core essence of Mara remains consistent across all traditions. He is the embodiment of all that prevents us from realizing our full potential, the ultimate adversary of enlightenment. Whether seen as a literal being or a symbolic representation, Mara's role is to challenge and test those on the spiritual path. One popular origin story describes Mara as the son of a god and a demoness, inheriting a dual nature capable of both great good and terrible evil. This duality reflects the conflicting forces within each of us, the pull between our higher aspirations and our baser instincts. It is this internal struggle that Mara embodies, making him a powerful symbol of the challenges we face on our spiritual journey. This duality is not just a feature of Mara's character, but a reflection of the human condition itself. We all have the capacity for both good and evil, and it is through our choices and actions that we navigate this complex landscape. Mara's story serves as a reminder of the importance of vigilance and self-awareness on the path to enlightenment. Regardless of his specific origin story, Mara's role within Buddhist cosmology is clear. He is the ultimate adversary of enlightenment, the embodiment of all that stands in the way of liberation. By understanding Mara and the challenges he represents, we can better prepare ourselves to overcome the obstacles on our own spiritual paths and move closer to the ultimate goal of enlightenment. Mara is a master of deception, a skilled manipulator who employs a vast arsenal of illusions and temptations to ensnare the unwary. His powers are as diverse as the desires that fuel them, ranging from seductive illusions to crippling doubts and fears. One of Mara's most potent weapons is his ability to create captivating illusions that play on our deepest desires and attachments. He can conjure visions of wealth, power, fame, and sensual pleasure, all designed to distract us from our spiritual aspirations. These illusions appear so real and enticing that they can easily lead us astray, causing us to chase after fleeting pleasures while neglecting the true path to happiness. Beyond illusions, Mara can also manipulate our emotions, amplifying our fears, doubts, and insecurities. He whispers insidious thoughts, questioning our worthiness, undermining our resolve, and tempting us to abandon our spiritual practice. He preys on our vulnerabilities, exploiting our weaknesses to keep us trapped in the cycle of suffering. Mara's influence extends beyond individual temptation. He can also manipulate external circumstances to create obstacles on our path. He can stir up conflict, incite violence, and spread disharmony, all in an attempt to distract us from our spiritual goals. By creating chaos and confusion, Mara ensures that we remain entangled in worldly concerns, unable to focus on our inner growth. His power is not just limited to the mind, it extends to the physical world as well. Mara can create tangible obstacles that hinder our progress. Imagine walking a path only to find it blocked by fallen trees or huge boulders. These physical manifestations are symbolic of the internal struggles we face, making it even more challenging to stay on course. The illusions and obstacles Mara creates are not random, they are tailored to our specific weaknesses and desires. If we crave wealth, he will show us visions of treasure. If we seek power, he will present us with opportunities that seem too good to be true. These tailored temptations make it incredibly difficult to resist his influence. Mara's ultimate goal is to keep us bound to the cycle of suffering, preventing us from achieving true enlightenment. By constantly feeding our fears and desires, he ensures that we remain distracted and disoriented. The more we give in to his temptations, the further we drift from our spiritual path. However, understanding Mara's tactics can empower us to resist his influence. By recognizing the illusions and temptations for what they are, we can begin to see through them. This awareness is the first step towards breaking free from his grasp and reclaiming our spiritual journey. It is crucial to remain vigilant and mindful, constantly questioning the reality of our experiences and the motivations behind our desires. By doing so, we can weaken Mara's hold on us and move closer to true enlightenment. In the end, Mara's power lies in our own minds. The more we understand and control our thoughts and emotions, the less influence he has over us. Through meditation, mindfulness, and self-awareness, we can overcome his deceptions and continue on our path to spiritual freedom. Remember, the journey to enlightenment is fraught with challenges, but with awareness and determination we can navigate through Mara's illusions and find our way to true peace and happiness. Section 4. Under the Bodhi tree, Mara's ultimate test. Mara's most famous encounter is undoubtedly his confrontation with Siddhartha Gautama, the historical Buddha, during his pivotal quest for enlightenment. As Siddhartha sat beneath the Bodhi tree, determined to reach awakening and ultimate understanding, Mara unleashed the full force of his powers against him, hoping to deter him. Mara's assault began subtly, with seductive temptresses appearing before Siddhartha, promising him unimaginable pleasures and worldly delights if he abandoned his meditation. When these temptations failed, Mara unleashed a terrifying army of demons, intent on frightening Siddhartha into submission. Yet Siddhartha remained steadfast, his resolve unwavering in the face of Mara's onslaught. He saw through the illusions, recognized the emptiness of worldly desires, and remained unmoved by Mara's threats and deceptions. Finally, in a desperate attempt to break Siddhartha's spirit, Mara claimed ownership of the very ground he sat upon. Unfazed, Siddhartha reached out and touched the earth, calling upon it to bear witness to his countless lifetimes of virtue and good deeds. The earth responded with a resounding tremor, acknowledging Siddhartha's purity and rejecting Mara's claim. Defeated and dismayed, Mara and his demonic legions vanished, leaving Siddhartha to achieve enlightenment and become the Buddha. Section 5. A deathless adversary, the persistence of Mara. Despite his defeat under the Bodhi tree, Mara did not cease to exist or vanish completely. He continues to represent the ever-present forces of temptation and delusion that challenge all beings seeking liberation and inner peace. Just as he tested the Buddha, Mara continues to test us, appearing in various guises and forms throughout our lives. Mara's persistence highlights an important Buddhist principle. The path to enlightenment is not a one-time event, but an ongoing, continuous process. We may experience moments of clarity and insight, but the potential for delusion and temptation always remains. Mara's continued presence serves as a constant reminder to remain vigilant, to cultivate mindfulness and wisdom, and to never underestimate the seductive power of our desires and attachments.